Hi, Leo, Mr. Kaczynski, down here in the corner. Good to see you. We're going to go through the 4.2 Practice Your Skills solutions. Not too difficult of a practice set, but I will give you some shortcuts and some tricks that you might be able to use. You'll definitely be able to use. All right, so here we go. We're going to use these equations to find missing entries in the table. Now, I mean, obviously, I would just use mental math here on this first one. 3 minus x, so 3 minus negative 3. That's like 3 plus 3. 3 minus negative 1, or 3 plus 1. 3 minus 0 is 3. 3 minus 2 is 1, and 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So because we have that negative slope right there, we should see the outputs going down as the inputs go up. Next up, negative 4 plus 2x. All right. So we could use mental math, I guess. Let's go 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, and negative 4 plus negative 4 is negative 8. 2 times 0 is 0, and 0 plus negative 4 is negative 4. 2 times 1 is 2, plus negative 4. And then we end up with, they give us the outputs, and we got to figure out the inputs. So essentially, we're trying to figure out when y is 2, what is x? And we can do that by adding 4 to both sides and then dividing both sides by 2. And we see that x is 3. Let's do that again. So essentially, when y is 6, what was x? So we're going to add 4 to both sides and then divide both sides by 2. Sure you've got shortcuts that are starting to work for you, but hopefully you're also showing me your thinking. All right, down here, 4.2 plus 0.8x. Let's start using the calculator here, especially now that we got decimals involved. Makes things a little bit tougher. So 4.2 plus 0.8 times x. X is negative 4, and that gives me an output of 1. If I just hit second enter, I can go back and change that negative 4 to a negative 1. That's 3.4. Second enter, change this to a 1.5, 5.4, and let's see, second enter, change the 1.5 to a 6.4. That gives me 9.32. And one more time. 9, just hit delete a couple times. There we go. Get 11.4. Easy way to fill out that table. And I think I'll show you one different way to get these, which is definitely going to help because we won't have to solve equations on these last two. Maybe we will. Let's go y equals. And let's put this equation in 1.2 minus 0.8 times x. Let's hit second table. And we can scroll up to negative 4 and we get an output of 4.4. All right, go down to negative 1. There's our output of 2. 2.4 is not on here. There's ways you can get it on here, but probably the easiest way is to hit graph. You'll get the line, hit trace, and then type in 2.4. It's an easy way to do it, and we get negative 0.72. Let's go back to the table. Let's see if negative 7.6 is one of our outputs. Yeah, there it is. So we can see our input was 11. And what about negative 10? Is that there? Yep, that's there as well. So that was a nice, easy way to do this one. All right, otherwise we'd have to solve these equations like this where we put negative 7.6 in for y. All right, moving on. Number 2 says plot the points in the table and the graph in the equation for exercise 1A. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, first of all, get rid of this equation. I'm going to go second. No, I'm just going to go stat right here, edit, and I'm going to create a list of all these inputs and outputs. And I'm going to use a shortcut again. So I'm going to put negative 3, -1, 0, 2, and 4 in for my inputs. And then for my outputs, I'm going to go up to the top. I'm going to go to the L2 right there, and I'm going to type in basically this equation, 3 minus, instead of x though, I'm going to put list 1, which you have to go second 1. And there's all those outputs, 6, 4, 3, 1, -1. So that would have been a good way for us to get these values in the first place. But now I've got those all in there, and I can make a scatter plot. So first of all, I need to set up my window. So I don't know, this window looks pretty good. I think, yeah, I think I'll just leave it as -10 to 10, -10 to 10. -10 to 10 would work for my inputs. That fits everything. And -10 to 10 would fit everything for my outputs. So let's go second, oops, sorry. Let's go second y equals. We have to turn this plot on, so hit enter and then hit on. It already is set up as a scatter plot using list 1 and list 2 for my x and y values. So when I hit graph, there it is. All right, so there's our scatter plot, and that's what yours should look like if you made it by hand. All right, let's do that again, and because that's what number 3 says, plot the points in the tables and the graphs for 1b through 1d. So let's do this one more time for this here. So let's go to stat, edit, go up to the top to L1, hit clear, don't hit delete, and then hit down. We're going to put in these values, -2, 0, 1, 3, and 5. And then I'll go up to the top. You don't even need to hit clear. We're just going to put in this new equation, -4 plus 2, and then you have to hit second 1. So we're going to multiply everything that's in list 1 by 2 and then add it to -4. When you hit enter, you get all these outputs, -8, -4, -2, 2, and 6. Does the same window work? Yeah, I think we can use that same window. Let's graph it, and there's our 5 points. All right, I think for the next one, I'll use Desmos.com. So here's Desmos.com. I'm going to hit the plus sign right here, and I'm going to make a table. And I'm going to use -4, -1, 1.5, 6.4, and 9. And then I'm just going to type in these numbers instead of using a shortcut. I don't know how to do the shortcut on Desmos.com like I do on the calculator. So you can see, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 of the points because this last one's not fitting. So we could just kind of scroll this down and get it to work. And now we can see all 5 points. If we do that one more time, let's change this to a 2.4, 11, and 14. And we got to change these outputs here, 4.4, 2, -0.72, -7.6, and -10. And I can't see them all, so the other thing you can do is hit this wrench, and you can change your x minimums and x maximums. So I could go from like -5 to 15. And for x, I could go from like -11 up to 5 or 6. And when you hit that wrench again, you can see your scatter plot there. All right. And then last thing, so that's basically what all your graphs should look like. Excuse me. It says use the tables and graphs to tell whether the relationships in exercise 1 are function. Well, I remember on all my graphs that every single graph ended up being a straight line of points. Okay, so a straight line is a function every single time. Also in the tables, you can see that each input only has one output. So here's what we'll say for that. All of the tables and graphs are functions because they are all linear relationships where every input has exactly one output. You don't have to be linear to be a function, but all linear relationships are functions with the exception of vertical lines, So that should get the job done for us. There's 4.2 practice your skills, showed you some shortcuts on Decimals.com and on the graphing calculator, and hopefully that was worthwhile to you. All right, have a good one.